So then there's prepaid legal. I was ever since the Copperfield case, I got on with prepaid legal and had I was going through Wagner, Falker, and Judd, and I was consulting with them. I couldn't ever afford a lawyer through them, and they would never give me pro bono, or even a contingency. They wouldn't go with this. So I was basically on my own, except for some legal advice from a few lawyers there. And I dealt with them for most of my cases. There was a conflict of interest with GE, so they couldn't talk about that one at all. So I had somebody else for them. Basically, I did it myself. Did that one? Did GE myself. But let's see here. What was going on over the 3 years that I was with them was that at times there was this guy named, Dan Smith at the law firm. He's the head attorney there, and it wasn't just him, but it was usually just whenever I talked with him, there was this negativism toward anything I did, kind of like, why do you even bother? You shouldn't do that because it's not going to work. 1 second, I'm going to think of an example here. One example would be like, I would say to Dan, why in his other case, in his other case with another person, they're bringing it before the judge, and they talk about this thing called a claim, and you can dismiss a case if there's you can dismiss if there's no claim. And 1 second. So if there's a claim to relief, you have to have some kind of claim, and so when I say, well, for another case, it's not me. It's like, well, they have a claim. Somebody tried to kill him, and I go, well, then I say, well, they tried to kill me too. But they go, well, Chris, it's not going to work. I say, well, why not? It's because it's not going to. I'm like, well, what about Copperfield taking my godly? He stole my godly power. It's a claim. It's like, it's not going to work, Chris. So with it's not just Dan, but it's mostly Dan. Some of those guys are like, why bother, Chris? I mean, why do you even try? Because I mean, why do you and then, yeah, this would be a similar concept to people that would hear my lawsuits and they're like, Chris, why do you even you're costing these people money, and it's like you're doing them all wrong. It's like, but let me think here. Copperfield has my godly powers and is using them for profit, and I'm doing wrong in trying to get the money from him. I never quite understood. It's evidently it's a lack of intelligence. Their IQs, whenever they say something like that, drops down to about 20. And then I know what I'm dealing with whenever I talk to that person again. But that's what the legal system is for, to remedy the wrongs that are out there, including people that are trying to kill me. Unfortunately, nobody really cares either. The legal system doesn't really care about the truth. They just... Anyways, 1 second. So basically, every time somebody else has a problem, they have a legitimate claim, and they go to trial. Whenever Roller has a problem and a legitimate claim stated in a statute, it's not really a claim. It's not a claim. It's not a claim for relief. Thus, that's why the dismissal, and they say, oh, that's just the way it is. 1 second. So I had some arguments with Dan Smith, just the way he portrayed himself. It was like this attitude of why, Chris, I don't feel like helping you because I hate your guts. And he wasn't saying this, but that's the way he was portraying. It's not, you don't have to say it, it's your actions that portray this. And so when Bosley occurred, and I was taking the small claims court, and I'm talking with Dan again, he's like, why bother any further? Why go through this? And it's probably not going to happen. If one judge said that it should get dismissed, then if you try to appeal, it's just going to get dismissed too. So I'm like, so despite that, I think, well, can you help me out? Can you like take this pro bono and take this off my hands? Because it's not really, I can't really afford to pay $10,000-$20,000 for a case that's worth $5,600. He's like, no, I can't do that. I can't. We're booked up. We're booked up. And of course, there's excuses up the yin yang of this Dan Smith guy for not being able to help me. Especially, it's just bad enough, but when he's giving me advice that basically says, why even try anymore? It was basically, I got so steamed up, I complained to PrePaidLegal, and they called up Dan, and we they kind of got things a little straightened out. But then another argument with Dan occurred concerning Bosley, and I just was fed up, and that's it. I had to complain. So I asked PrePaidLegal that I suspect that there's a conflict of interest with Wagner and with Dan Smith and his whole attorney staff there. That they have a conflict of interest with me, and they should never be giving me advice in the first place. And I'm saying this since day one. That Dan Smith has complained about me suing David Copperfield, that I don't have a claim, and a couple other lawsuits. It's like you don't have a claim, Chris. So if you have this attitude and you're supposed to be on my side, it indicates that there's something else going on. Like perhaps you're not on my side, you're on the other side, and you should not be giving me advice. It's called conflict of interest. So I told PrePaidLegal, I said, listen, I need a statement under oath stating that there is no conflict of interest since day one with Dan Smith and his staff there, and they refused to give it to me. They refused up and down for 3 days. Anyways, 3 times that I called them. Dan Smith refuses to give me the statement. I also suspect that Dan Smith has participated in the hit-a-thon that was on me. In other words, he was trying to kill me, and I'm asking PrePaidLegal for a statement denying that as well, and they refused to give that as well. Of course, when I tried to cancel the account with PrePaidLegal because they have nobody else they can give me to, they said you need to sign it. You need to have a written statement and fax it to us. And so, of course, whenever they want something done, I have to do something in writing to indicate it. But of course, when they want to tell me that Dan Smith isn't trying to kill me or doesn't have a conflict of interest and likes me, they want to do it over the phone and say, Chris, why don't you believe it? Chris, why don't you believe us when we say it? I'm thinking, so you want me to send you something in writing, and yet you want me to believe something you say over the phone? Yeah, that makes sense. So PrePaidLegal has bent me over to, and let's just say that karma exists. So now with PrePaidLegal, I actually I've sort of kind of given up on lawsuits, but I actually have a claim against PrePaidLegal and the law firm for conflict of interest. They should not have been judging my cases. They should not have been advising me if they do not like me, and they do not like me because I'm God, so I'm unclear whether I'm going to proceed with this or not. But I guess I've got 1 year to act. But I just know the runaround that I get with the legal system, so I'm not sure it's going to be worth my time. It's not a whole lot of money, but and this is the thing with PrePaidLegal. Said, listen, I just want the statement up front. Otherwise, I may have to sue you, and you're going to end up spending $3,000, $5,000 defending this. And they're like, well, that's going to cost you money too. I'm like, yeah, it's like maybe $300. And so I'm thinking, so they don't want to send me a signed statement to avoid a lawsuit that's going to cost them at least $5,000 in lawyer fees. It costs them literally 2 minutes to get something signed, and a couple times Dan Smith, he had to get out his pen to say that I wasn't no longer can talk about this other case because I'm such a pain in the butt to them. So he has time to sign his signature, but not for when he's committing crimes against me. and this is prepaid legal as well. They're probably committing crimes as well against me. But they don't want to make us. But all they want to do is make a statement over the phone, as if I'm supposed to believe it. Yeah. So I have another legal claim against somebody else, and yet I have to let it go because, well, I probably let it go. I don't know. We'll see. Because the system is hosed, and it's too bad.